If you have an SBA EIDL loan of $100,000 or less, you'll want to hear about this SBA EIDL Loan Collections ending, as well as if you have more than $100,000, what to expect, as well as the alternatives if you're looking for like an SBA 7A, 504 loan, microloans, the 8A mentoring program, the Community Advantage program, as well as others, as well as free grants that you can pick up of about 900 or so that are rotating, that are kept up to date, more or less, so you know what exactly to go after for your industry, for your specific needs, your background, and much more. Hi, welcome in. This is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. I'm a business funding expert, business loan broker expert, pre-underwriter slash underwriter who's been able to help a lot of people and their businesses navigate through these times. It's a very hard market. It's very complex if you're not paying attention to a lot of different things, tax codes, understanding who you're giving your information to. There's a lot of services, and I work with all of them, from credit, cash flow to collateral, liquidity, equity, and many other needs for funding, grant opportunities. There's a time and a place for each and every single one of these to do a combination with them. But at the very core of all of this, whatever I share, or I should say, whenever I share information in terms of funding for whatever needs, at the core of it is your personal credit score. So we're going to get into this in a second. You see the share screen where I'm going to be guiding you through a PDF document of this release some time ago. But I wanted to make sure you were kept up to date in what's happening right now and what adjustments you can make. But if you don't make your payments for whatever reason or reasons those are, I know how troubling it is right now to have some outstanding debt that you need to get cleared, forgiven. And the SBA is not going to come in on that. And there's the hardship accommodation plan that was released some time ago for those of you who were eligible borrowers and were able to shift your payment plan and spread it out over more time and drop the repayment amount. But also understand that your credit can take a hit. And if you're not prepared in this market and you're looking for funding needs, even for microloan programs, which require at least a 620 credit score, but they can go less than that as well, some other requirements, and you have to protect your personal credit. And so if you need help with any of that, if you're struggling right now with certain late payments, things you need to get off your report or reports, derogatory collections, things you're currently going through that can be cleaned up and better prepared for the next season, for the next wave. So this way you can get into funding opportunities through credit, cash flow, and collateral and not have to rely on the SBA EIDL loan or rely on just one payment or another payment. Keep something else at a lower interest rate. There's even 0% interest credit cards where I help people get multiple credit cards stacked together to get the maximum amount, whether you're a startup or a non-startup. There are different advantages to both sides, different industries. And I'm going to leave more information of this down below. I've already created content on this. There will also be a questionnaire form where you can also pick up a 900 plus free grant list document or so, as well as a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist. So you know without a shadow of a doubt what it takes to get pre-approved, walking into that application with 110% confidence and certainty that you maximize your approval odds. And you know without a shadow of a doubt, yeah, I'm going to go through that and get approved, get at least an offer. So I'm going to leave that questionnaire form. That's how you'll pick up that larger grant document with the free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist. I might show you towards the end of this video how that looks. But down below, again, that questionnaire you're going to want to submit. There will be, it could take less than a minute to just submit. A lot of people have done that. And I'll put a very highly personalized and customized email response, even with the PDF, showing your best funding option and options, thoroughly broken down, and information not even publicly released. So you'll have everything all in one place. You can reuse, bookmark, come back and use that PDF and look at it when you're ready. And again, it'll show you things you can't even qualify for. If you were to, I'll say this isn't your best option. I'll show you several ones and what is the best out there in this market. So let's go into this PDF document that was on to date, released on September 29th, 2023. So it is some time ago, and I've been meaning to update you guys as I usually do on EIDL loan news. But because I've been so busy, hands full, helping quite a few people, I have had a vacation recently. I just got back from Cabo, got into town last week on Monday night. It was a great way to recharge, reflect, put some more perspective very grateful and thankful. I had a much needed and overdue vacation, and I spent a little bit of time in California in the Dana Point area for my cousin's wedding. So about 6 days, 7 to 8 days or so in total, but very well spent. So for those of you who have EIDL loans that are at least 100,000 that you received or less, what's happening is that the SBA right now, they will not pursue collections for anything that, again, is 100,000 or less. And the reasoning behind that, in case you haven't been kept up to date, is because it would be worth like over 300 million, 250 to 300 millions worth just to pursue that alone, and that's during the course of a year. So you could break that up into a monthly remittance or a monthly schedule on how much accrued interest and how much accrued principal they would have to collect when it comes to all of that. So a lot of what you guys are struggling with right now is the interest, and there's a lot of accrued interest over months, and it's hard to keep up with these payments because even if they're relatively low, you still owe a lot. And if you've been thinking that you have to owe, it's not so much of a demand. So you get quote unquote something of a free pass, you could say, or it could be not pushed through. So you don't have to feel so concerned about it. And that does a lot. So there's been a lot of talk about contractors and splitting this up into third-party agencies where they can come and collect, but they don't want to do that because how much it will cost them. And underneath the Trump administration, what happened in limiting after going any kind of debt, it makes it harder for the SBA to justify going after those borrowers who took 100,000 or less. So here's just a quick letter from to Isabella Casilla Guzman, the administrator, and from Hannibal Mike War, Inspector General, and the subject, management advisory, on ending active collections on delinquent COVID-19 economic injury disaster loans, report 2316. So if you've missed late payments, there's a lot of borrowers who are not just 100K and less, but everything 100K and above, who are 30, 60, 90 days at times on average delinquent. So even just missing one payment, you're delinquent on that. So you've gone into delinquency, I should say. So here it goes. The Office of Inspector General, OIG, is issuing the management advisory to bring to you your attention concerns regarding the U.S. Small Business Administration's SBA decision to end active collections on delinquent coronavirus disease 2019 COVID-19 in parentheses economic injury disaster loans EIDL with an outstanding balance of $100,000 or less. So I just wanted to show you that part just to know, so you know that it is there in writing and what was put together. First, SBA's decision to cease collections risk violating the Debt Collection Improvement Act of 1996, which prohibits ending collections on fraudulent, false, or misrepresented claims because SBA OIG and other oversight agencies are continuing to work on identifying COVID-19 fraud that may not have been identified by that agency. So if there's a lot of misrepresented claims, which is the case right now, look at what's happened with PPP with a lot of fraudulent activity. So somewhat you see Isabella mirroring that, but to a different collection amount and the different levels of it. So here you see a little bit more there on borrowers who receive multiple COVID EIDL loans of 100,000 or less. So who received multiple is what we're going at. We're not just saying one, but if you're a borrower who's borrowed multiple or less than that amount, when combined exceed 100,000. Second, the SBA based its decision to end active collections on a cost-benefit analysis that uses a similar loan program and a private sector loan servicing model to estimate proceeds from collections and collection costs. The cost-benefit analysis that they did not include periodic comparisons of costs incurred and amounts collected as federal regulations do require. There's a little bit kind of going around that. Finally, the SBA does not appear to have fully evaluated its consultant's recommendation to sell a portion of the COVID-19 EIDL portfolio to maximize the return to taxpayers. So there's a lot of back and forth right now, especially right now that we are later into October, where there's a lot of back and forth from Republicans and Democratic parties and things going on where, hey, will all of these taxpayers not be able to make their payments on delinquent collection EIDL loans of 100,000 or less and the 62 billion above? And how much of the makeup of people who were receiving 100,000 or less, I believe it was between 65 to 75, not 75% maximum on that. And that was about 4.5 or so million businesses. So just think about the amount of businesses that got an EIDL loan, and 4.5 million of those have been the ones that received 100,000 or less, which makes up about 65 to 75% plus of that. So the majority of them did, and you have to question why that is. And you can track that very far back into revenue drops, into sales drops, into other issues, government mandates, other things that limited the restriction of growth, of sales, of other issues. And then you talk about a lot of these businesses being sole proprietors, the makeup of that 75% or 65 to 75% of them. And it's hard because they're not a registered entity as an LLC or incorporated that way, or an S Corp, C Corp. So it makes it even more troubling, as well as what happened in the past with the Trump administration, to kind of go after a lot of this and try to work it through. So it goes here. We appreciate the cooperation and courtesy provided by your staff. If you have any questions or need additional information, and it just kind of goes into some contact details. So I won't go through all that right now. But you see here, as we scroll down, some of the contents to go through. I won't go through it all. So just some of the background here. In response to adverse economic effects caused by the coronavirus or COVID-19, Congress provided lending for authority for more than $470 billion to support the COVID-19 epidemic. Injury disaster loans provided loans of up to $2 million to help businesses pay for expenses. We're not going to go into the background so much of that, but you see here totaling $387 billion, according to SBA. Over 3 million of these COVID-19 EIDL loans, totaling $70.9 billion, are 100,000 or less. So the number adjustment is there, and as things grow, as time grows, you can see that number there. But decision to end collection activities, SBA intends to provide past due notices, due process letters, and demand letters to delinquent COVID EIDL-19 borrowers with loan balances of 100,000 or less. SBA also plans. There's been a little bit of conflict there on what they should and shouldn't send right now. There's a lot of talks about that and replanning for. SBA also plans to continue to process Uniform Commercial Code, UCC financing statement, modifications and release requests, refer to borrowers to credit bureaus, and ensure they are included on the U.S. Department of the Treasury's do not pay list. So it's a lot going on right now with private collection agencies, things that they can do towards delinquent debt at any capacity with wage garnishments. You have use of private collection agencies, as I just mentioned, renegotiated repayments or negotiated payments. There's a few stipulations on that, especially in the talks right now that is going through. And I just put a few notes just so I can have here that I don't miss that I'm going through. But one big issue that people have been going through, and I've been hearing of, and a lot of people more likely going through here soon, is if you don't pay back, a lot of this can be charged off to the Treasury offset program. And then your tax refunds will be then redirected to that. And then you won't be eligible for future SBA loans. So withholding of tax refunds, wage garnishments, Social Security benefits, and a lot of this you cannot be forgiven with any SBA EIDL loan. So it makes it a lot harder to make your payments. And if you were to default, the thing that happens is now you defaulted on a government loan, you're looking for any SBA 7A or 504 financing. It makes it harder to get approved. If any, very little, but regularly most people don't get accepted. It's not exactly like a non-EIDL or SBA loan, where if you were to default on a different business loan or an advance, or you had on the personal or on the business side, could there be some forgiveness later on? Could there be some pardoning of it? Perhaps, but it's very seldom that happens too. So the worst thing that most people end up doing is just filing for bankruptcy. And that's what we want to avoid altogether, and make sure we're taking care of these payments. There is some debt relief out there, but it makes it hard. I know there's some government backup for debt restructuring programs, but a lot of the time you need to meet in a combination of not just unsecured financing, but unsecured and secured financing of over $1 million. And that can include business credit cards as well, other things with liabilities, other things to go through. But if you're having trouble with a lot of this, it makes it hard, and you really do need to make sure you make your on-time payments. And again, there was a hardship accommodation plan that was in effect some time ago to help with those payments. But let's continue with this, and then I'll go into some of the alternatives here. We're 14 minutes in. I'm going to try to switch over here in less than 20 in the 20-minute mark. But you see here, include on the U.S. Department of the Treasury's do not pay list. However, on April 27th of 2022, the SBA decided to seize other activity collection agents, active collection agents activities. Excuse me, I always want to say the word agencies, such as foreclosure on property, collateral, and wage garnishment. As I mentioned a little bit about that earlier, but they decided to foreclosure on that property, collateral, and what is considered right to do so and not right to do so. Seizing activities on that. On all delinquent COVID-19 EIDLs with an outstanding balance of 100,000 or less. So for those of you who are worried about all of that with property collateral, on April 27, 2022, the SBA decided to seize other activity collection agencies, and that including the foreclosure on property collateral and wage garnishment on all delinquent, keyword being delinquent, COVID-19 EIDLs with an outstanding balance of 100,000 or less. Active collection means a debt is being collected through appropriate debt collection remedies. Let me make sure this is okay. I had this screen. I thought it wasn't where you could see the whole full thing. Collection remedies, including but not limited to repossession of equipment, collateral, litigation, and referral to Treasury's Bureau of the Fiscal Service for centralized collection and offset. As we mentioned a little bit about that earlier, through Treasury's cross-servicing program and the Treasury Offset Program, as I said, top there in parentheses described below, SBA has decided it will not be performing most of these activity collections activities with the Treasury. There's a little bit here. I'm not going to go into all of these details, but you can see here accountable and could incentivize other COVID-19 EIDL recipients to stop paying on their loans. A little bit there. And at the time of SBA's decision to end active collection, a projected 30 to 50% of the 3 million borrowers with loans of 100,000 or less would become 90 days delinquent. That's pretty bad. And when you think about the amount of payments you're making and what you're currently on and how many, if you took multiple EIDL loans, are you underneath 100,000? That adds more complexity. And that's what I mean by that complex part. And what I said towards the introduction of this video, using SBA's loan accounting system of record data, we calculated the number of delinquent and past due COVID-19 EIDLs of 100,000 or less at 62 billion as of March 24th, 2023. Obviously, we are not there now. In January 2023, we requested a monthly report of all past due and delinquent COVID EIDLs from SBA. There's a little bit more there. So you see, SBA indicated that there were about 1.3 million COVID-19 EIDLs, 51% either past due, delinquent, in liquidation, which is bad. That's pretty bad there, or charged off, for a total of 33.4 billion as of May 9th, 2023. They are unable to validate this data. SBA has already ended or will end collections on these loans if they remain delinquent. And as additional loans become due, this number is likely to grow, which a lot more has. And so here you see figure 1, COVID-19 EIDLs of 100,000 or less, data as of March or May 9th, 2023, excuse me. You see 0 to 29 days past due, which is over 200,000 loans, and that totals 7 billion. That's a lot there. Delinquent on 118,000 plus 3 billion. A lot going into that, 30 to 59 days. And as you continue here into the 90 and 119 days, as we said a little bit earlier, what's been delinquent? Over 330,000 approximately. We're not giving the exact amount, but you see the exact number there. And you see that big jump from here, from 162 to 337,000. That's a lot of delinquent loans just from 60 to 90 days. Just the difference within 30 days. But of course, you have a different window there, so that adds to the amount. But just alone, that is a huge jump. And look at the amount here from 4 to 6. And then charged off, 68,510 loans. And that's a substantial number right there in total, a huge amount. And it makes it very complex for the SBA department to really focus on 100,000 or less when they have all these other problems. And in liquidation, wage garnishments, delinquency. So there's still a lot of people who are over 100,000 going through a lot of these issues, trying to find relief. And it's just very hard to. So additionally, it's important that the SBA identify all borrowers with multiple loans of 100,000 or less, which when combined exceed 100,000, and subject them to continued collection activities. The SBA found here, by their words, 9.6 billion COVID EIDL or 19 EIDLs of 100,000 or less made to 164,826 borrowers who may have received multiple COVID EIDL exceeding 100,000 in total. So that's quite a bit amount of money there, and for the amount of people and businesses. Estimating collection costs and potential recoveries. You see that here. Like I said earlier, will cost over $250 million per year to go after that amount, 100,000 or less, with enough substantial expected recovery. Based on the SBA's estimate of expected delinquencies, the delinquent portfolio could range between $21 billion to $35 billion. That's a lot. And then here, there's just some more data points or some more facts. SBA's conclusion that expected recoveries are insubstantial appears inconsistent with the determination by the SBA hired consulting firm, the consultant, who they're contracting this to, who they wanted to, but are holding up on, that calculated that even the riskiest loans in the portfolio, those loans to borrowers with credit scores below 500, were worth 14.2% of the principal loan balance. So there's just more information here. I'm not going to go through all of this, but recommendations to address this. You see here, recommendation 2, reevaluate and amend as appropriate the April 27th. We went through that earlier. Ensure SBA does not end active collections pursuant to the April 27, 22 decisions on any COVID EIDL of 100,000 or less who received multiple amounts. We went through that earlier. Fraudulent, false, or misrepresented claims, quite a bit of that. So just kind of goes through this a little bit more. And that's where I'm going to leave it at. I'm going to segment into a different topic here in just a second. But you see a lot of this here, scope and methodology, just what it's going after, and a little bit more there that was sent September 21st of 2023, subject date. And we won't go through all of this, but we covered the majority of it that we needed to see. Now I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to go over a few things that can be possible now that you know a lot of this. So for one, it's hard, okay? It's not like you're just going to get everything and anything forgiven. It's not like the accrued interest is just going to immediately stop. Payments separate, principal payments separate, hardship accommodation plan, all these other things. But you still have to be accountable and responsible at the end of the day when it comes to a lot of this. But what should you do now moving forward? That should be the thought in your mind. It shouldn't be necessarily that, okay, one, you can't make your payments. It's too much of a payment to make. And you have to question why that is. Why is it so hard for you to make your payments? Is there something with your accounting? Is there a financial literacy that needs to be added? Is there some accounting services? That's where I always start with the business owner is it's not that you should take more loans. It's that you should be more adept with your accounting, with your financial services, with your portfolio to make sure you can handle taking on more debt. It's not because somebody's throwing you free money doesn't mean it's going to be free exactly, and it's going to be free forever. There's going to be times in your business where you feel like you're at your lowest and you needed this money and you felt like you would recover and then you never did, or you didn't get your margins up to 15 to 25%. Or you were stuck at 5%, or you dropped to 2%. You thought you would be there in about 6 months and it never happened, or it did, but it just didn't pan out the way you wanted it to. So you really need to take care of your accounting services first. You really need to look at your financial portfolio and ask yourself, am I taking care of my taxes well enough? Am I putting more into my asset column than I am in the liability column? Because as an expert, I've been doing this for a while. If I didn't tell you this and it's your first time, I'm an introvert. It's very hard for me to appear on camera. I've done a lot of written stuff. I've done a lot of video stuff because I've done it for some time. And I feel like this is a great way for you to consume the content. And it's very helpful for you. I'm all about helping you as a person first. And that means in your health, in your relationships. I look at character in a person. I look at character traits. I look at feedback. I look at responsiveness. I look at to see if they're even patient or not. So I want to work with people who instill the core values that I have as well. I'm very loyal. I'm a Libra, if that says anything. I'm very calm, cool, and composed. People would say emotionally controlled are the words. I'm very cerebral, the intellectual type, very in my head, always, every single day. I review documents. That should probably say a lot. I review bank statements, tax returns, personal and or business, P&L balance sheets, cash flow statements. You can kind of put them and interject them as one. I do debt schedule reports. I look at a lot of this. I do my own cash flow profitability analysis. I understand cash flow very well, profitability, margins, gross profit margins, net. I've helped a lot of people improve their businesses, not just by the means of getting funding, but getting ready to or getting funding and then finding ways of generating better yield for their business. They have a rotating menu or they have different technology and equipment. They want to understand how to get the most out of it. It's going to depreciate in 2 to 3 years. So what should they do before that? Are they maximizing their return on investment, their profitability? Are they getting enough at the end of their bottom line? There's different ways to understand how to grow a business and expand it. But it all starts at the fundamental levels, which is understanding your own accounting, understanding that you're not over leveraging yourself, that you start off by not taking too much, because there are people out there who will overpromise and underdeliver. A lot of reasons why people stick with me is because of who I am. It's not what I do or how I do it. It's because of who I am and my why. My why, I was just like you, struggling very, very bad as a startup. Man. Even before that, I'll give you a quick picture of this and then I'll go into some of the alternatives. But like many of you, I began in the very beginning just wanting to start a business, wanting to go off on my own, not work corporate or not work this job or career. I went to school. I educated myself. I studied a bit of sociology and I played Division I soccer for a bit. And then I transferred into chemical engineering. Night and day. My mind, very math and system oriented. And I really wanted that. And my favorite class still is, I speak about it in the present tense, even though I'm done with school, is chemistry. I really fell in love with chemistry. I didn't think I would, but being in that class, understanding thermodynamics, thermochemistry, understanding the processes of systems, of chambers, understanding, that's where it all began. And for me to understand the reactants and the products, I don't want to bore you guys on this, but it's such an amazing subject. And I challenged myself in school. I didn't just go like other people out there would tell you, well, school's not worth it. Just if you go and go to network. Yeah, that's one part of it, but really challenge yourself. And that's what I had to do. I had to go through a lot of adversity. And my background, I'm Salvadorian, Mexican American. I've told people that I'm like a hybrid. And I grew up in Orange County, California. I live in Washington. So I did chemical engineering for a bit. And then I had to make a big decision. This was hard. This was a pivot point for me in my younger 20s, in my younger age, you could say. And I really wanted to start a business. It was hard going from what I was already doing for a good amount of time. And I went under the business side. And I then went through that route, got my degree there. And I never looked back. It was the best decision that I made. And before I got into any kind of business, though, I've worked in construction, manufacturing. I was in warehousing. I was a ramp agent at some point. Yeah, you know those people who are bringing in and flying out the planes. But I was first of all putting the luggage on or taking the luggage off of a conveyor belt and putting them onto those carts. And that was bloody hard. And I'm not genetically gifted to do much of that. So you could tell, like me, I had a faster metabolism, a bit skinnier back in the day, still keep in shape as much as I can because I value health. I value relationships. I value fitness. I value community. I value the things that I do every single day, that I have my non-negotiables. I have my habits. I have my routines down. At my young age, my family would tell you I act like a 60 to 70-year-old man because I have everything set in stone. And there's things that change. And yeah, I'm adaptable, but I have a lot of my non-negotiables. So I did that for some time. I've worked in other roles as well, not because I was unstable, but because I was figuring other things out. And I had some positions that were riskier. I got other ones offered, did those things. And then I had a financial logistics role for some time that I was under, and I was underpaid. I was literally undervalued. I kid you not. I thought I would move up to a supervisory role, higher management role. The person in front of me, unfortunately, didn't want to retire. Old man, great person, but he was kept in that position, ex-hardware engineer. Nothing against him, but that's just how it goes out there. And it was for a huge contracting company servicing HP and Peace Health. And I was doing a lot of stuff with data, looking at all of inventory sheets, ordering this and that, making sure this was here and there, aligning with this and that, making sure the numbers were here for this, coordinating this and that, the material movement of this, budgeting for that and that. So I understand when it comes to a lot of the numbers and understanding how to keep track of things. And then I also had to lift media boxes. I still had to deliver a few things. It wasn't picking up fast, but from time to time I would have to. And some of these boxes were heavy. Other times it was just like 3 to 4 sheets of paper or blocks of paper of a 50 unit or 100 pieces of paper in one package. Other times it was a big amount. But It was for a lot more stability. It was for more to gain more traction in that position. And the company ended up going down under. And there was a transition first. And then after about 30 to 60 days, they relieved over 40 to 50 plus people due to budget costs, due to other secondary constraints, and other reasons that they trimmed the top down, if you've heard about that. But that's what happened. Unfortunately, I was one of the many, not to my own wrongdoing, but I was already preparing. So before I was relieved of that position, literally, I was already preparing. I was brainstorming ways of how to start a business. And I got in contact with a friend of mine. His name is Tyson. I'm very grateful for. And he started sharing with me more context on like e-commerce, which I had already a foundation of in other roles, but I just didn't go into it too much. He just shared with me more. And then also like digital marketing agency, lead generation, affiliate marketing, other roles, things that are passive as well. But before any of that, though, when the company went down under and I had to go back on unemployment benefits and food stamp cards. I couldn't even look the person in the eye whenever I would pay for groceries. At times I would, but I was just so relieved to walk out of the doors. But knowing that I would have to come back again, that was daunting to me, to do that all over again. Not that I had to, but because I was given an opportunity at that time to really build something. So I took it full steam, put my head down, worked in a room, like worked in the room, had my head down, did a lot of work for hours upon hours. But just being on unemployment benefits, it wasn't a good feeling again. And even going out for a meal to provide for my family, even when I could, like even just splitting, even when they would put their part like 50-50, even if I were to go 70-30 or the opposite or whatever way it was, I still felt guilty. I felt like I couldn't provide. A man not able to provide that way. Felt so bad. I felt so much anxiety. Like, why am I in this position? And like many of us, we go through it and we go through losses. We go through the loss of people. We go through the loss of our pets. Like me losing my dog brother was the hardest thing I've gone through in a while. Losing my grandma, like all that back to back. I won't go into that right now. But all these things make you realize what's really important in life. And it's not the materialistic things. It's not the I have $1 million that I take home or whoever takes home whatever. And this is what I apply it to, or this is my living situation. I got a mansion, none of that, a mansion, this and that. The littlest things to me are the core values of a person. That's what goes the farthest for me. It's not like all these materialistic things, the watches, none of that. It's not the cars. It's your core values, your core principles. It's how your identity is, your beliefs are, your identity and your behavior, which drive one another, vice versa. These help drive your core values and beliefs, your vision, your values, your mission as a person. I'm not even talking about as a business owner or as a business at all. And what about your business or how or why your business? I'm not talking that. We can get into that. But it's more so to do with why you. Who are you at a core? Have you worked on yourself? That's why I always recommend personal development in these things. So that's kind of a long story short of it. And I got my ground into the digital marketing agency lead generation space. I got into the health affiliate marketing industry, and I still have that business where I've helped out a lot of people with vitamins and supplements, pain relief creams, proteolytic enzymes, which is a huge one. People with arthritis, back pain, the majority of it is the topic. In other areas, ergonomic desk chairs. And I have other verticals in the affiliate space showing business owners like CRM systems, automation tools, email marketing, because I use them and I use them to an extent. And as a business owner, you'll be open to using certain tools that others would ask how you use them or what should you use. And I've used a lot of this stuff as an entrepreneur business owner. And then I have other verticals. And then over time, this has been my primary focus as a business funding expert, because like I said, again, it all started with all the troubles that I went through to get those businesses funded that I didn't say in the beginning, but that's what happened. And going through a lot of these online marketplaces, people over promising, under delivering. A lot of people come to me and I ask them, have you tried seeking funding? Where have you? And they'll tell me where. And a lot of the answers are very common. And I will tell people, I will never go there ever again. I don't care how legit they are. I don't care how well they do it, or maybe they're not legit, but there are things you don't know. And what you don't know hurts you more than what you know. And what you know shouldn't hurt you, but what you know still will at times, especially in this industry, if you're not careful. It's a cutthroat one. And if you don't have the right broker, you don't have the right person to align with, just like that, you're done. A lot of the times, People overpromise, underdeliver, bait and switch, get a line of credit. Okay. Uh, no, you can't get one. I know that. And they're bait and switching you. They're just trying to get your contact information. Even though you can't get funded, a lot of these companies will do that. Yeah, just send them in. Yeah, they're a trucking business. They know that they won't get accepted, but now they have your information to then remarket to you. And how they're going to remarket to you, you better be very cautious of it. If you're already getting bombarded by a lot of companies, a lot of these companies that have millions of dollars to advertise per year, that doesn't mean they're any better. That just means they have the money and they have the resources. And they have the resources to give other people in other departments. They've created other systems to have a system for keywords research. They have a system for content creation. They come together, different departments. I've created stuff like that before, but at a different level. And what I always think about is, how can I help the small business? Because I was once that, or I still am that, excuse me. But I was once in terms of there, where I was still trying to find my footing. And so at any opportunity that I get, instead of helping the large corporations, unless it really made sense to at a different partnership and level, I think about, who would I give my business to? If I gave my business to a broker, I want to know what their core value and values are. Who are they at a core? Why them? What's their story? What's their vision, values, and mission? What are their beliefs? What's their identity, behavior? What's their characteristic traits? That's ultimately it, and the deciding factor for me a lot. And then we can go from there. Oh, you know your stuff. That's one thing. I'm happy you know. You got the knowledge. Great. You're better than anybody else in this industry. Are you better? Well, there's somebody always better. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I never say that. But what I do as an expert, I'm now looking at it from the top down. I help out a lot of people get into this industry as well if they want. Whether they go far enough in it or not, that's up to them at that point. But that's what I wanted to mention. I went through those troubles. So figuring it out myself, I thought, I don't want to see people struggle in ways that I did, even if it wasn't the worst. I've seen what's bad out there. So, hey, let me show people my experiences with personal and business credit, government-backed funding, with cash advances, term loans here and there. Like, okay, how should somebody go about it and approach it? And I fall in love with the process. For me, it's the process. It's not the end result that I'm striving for every day. Of course, I have an outcome, a goal to achieve. So we're working towards that, and we have ideas, but the ideas don't get so diluted that we don't focus on what the actual outcome is. But I love the process. I love the data. I love reverse engineering. I love the back end work. That's where I fulfill a lot of what I do best at. The front end stuff, great. I can do that, but I love a lot of the back end stuff, and I can help you in many ways. So let me go to the comments here. And again, all information will be down below. I'll try to show you that questionnaire in just a second and how you can pick up that large free grant list that others have already been picking up, and it's rotating stuff, getting updated monthly or so, instead of picking up a shorter amount. I have a smaller grant documentation that comes with it too, but you can also get the larger grant list by going through that. And if I change things over time where you can get it in a different way, I will. But the questionnaire form. Hi, Eric. How are you doing? I'm not sure if you're still in here. I know you commented earlier. I apologize. I've just had to get some messages out. Yeah, if it's multiple loans, anything 100K or less, that should be applied to. But anything that is over 100K is just business as usual until anything else changes. But aside from the hardship accommodation plan, loan modifications, it's just business as usual. But I understand what you're asking. And just yeah, I get you what you say. If it would just be fair to just take 100K off those loans, it's like saying, well, it wouldn't be fair. Think about it. If that's how I interpret what you said, if you're looking at a 100K loan somebody received or multiple 100K and less, just taking off 100K would completely eliminate any principal and interest. It would it's like forgiving their loan by paying, but they're going to have to relocate other resources, like from the express loans that they have or have done other things to try to adjust for that. And so you got to look at where money is flowing in from, how much money they already have, how much money they have recovered, to try to pay that other debt for other people. But it's not as simple as that, because they're relocating this money into different departments for different SBA loans and different processes. So it's harder. It's easier said than done. And what a lot of stuff is happening on the back end that you guys don't always see. It's not easily measured or how we think it should be. uh, it will get done. I mean, petitions and stuff like that can be raised to bring awareness, but when it comes to SBA EIDL loan decision making, it's not just a simple petition that's really going to be given from the public's attention or private attention. There really has to be a big who or a big person behind it to make a big movement. But even then, all the things that it has to pass through just to get approved, it's going to make it hard. So I hope that more or less answers that. How are you doing? Please do. And I'm going to leave my questionnaire in the comment section. So I have it open in another tab that I'm going to show you guys in a second on how it looks. And if you have filled it out and I've yet to get back to you, I will soon. I do get quite flooded at times, but you get an expert. That's the opportunity cost, that you get an expert who understands credit, cash flow, collateral in different segments. So here in the comments is the questionnaire form, and I'm going to put it right there for you guys to see. And then my email address for you guys to get a hold of me is right there. Michael@viralfundingsolutions.com. And I'm going to show you guys the questionnaire form in a second, but the alternatives that I didn't get into so deeply, but I said in the beginning, is like 0% interest credit card stacking. And this is a great one with grants, added grants on top of it, or an SBA microloan, or a combination of them. And then the first thing, though, that we look at, and that I look at, though, when we're doing multiple business credit cards, is making sure you have the right credit score. And before I get into that, just understand that leveraging credit at 0% interest is the biggest thing everybody is turning to right now. But too many people are getting declined because their credit is hurting more than it's ever been. We thought that at the beginning of this year, everybody would have a quick turnaround. And there was. Honestly, there was a quick 1 to 3 month window with the first quarter, or at least 1 to 4 or 5 months within the first and second quarter. Now, third and fourth quarter, from what I'm seeing, is a lot more people are suffering through credit because of the SBA EIDL loans, because of different mortgage payments. They are taking on more debt to just keep their business afloat, just to satisfy their expenses. They're purchasing more, but their power of purchasing isn't going farther. The dollar isn't stretching out as far. It's not worth as much as it once was. They can't liquidate enough. People having to liquidate their assets just to cover their debt. It's hard taking equity just to do that. They're getting into more home equity lines of credit now. More people are doing that. But if you would have had that about a month or two ago, that would have been more appropriate for rates and purposes that are happening now. So it's such an inflated economy and market. I don't want to get into all the exact details, but just know I follow it so closely that I can spend about hours upon hours going into each subject, but I'm going to leave it as is. But 0% interest credit card stacking, you can have multiple business credit cards with a disclaimer there, making sure you qualify. But let's say we go to a Chase Bank. First of all, let's see, do you have under 2 years, or do you have 2+ years time in business? Because on those accounts, it depends on how much you'll get based on the time in business, the entity, the type of entity formation, the articles of incorporation, certifications of state, formation of state, making sure everything is listed appropriately. There's a few other things that get higher approval amounts, but going through like a Chase Bank, getting their card or cards, and then applying to a business bank card from like the Bank of America and things that have been changing there. And then there's like a PNC Bank, Truist Bank, but you don't just want to do it blindly. Obviously, you want to have relationships with these banks established. It just depends on how much time you've had in business, or what you've established, or what you've established. But every person gets a different amount. But somebody who gets 0% interest for 6 to 18+ months is far better off than somebody who starts with an APR of about 26 to 27%. And they get continuous payments rolling over to the next month, which is another thing. But making sure you can pay down the principal and the accrued interest before it becomes too expensive. And that's where lines of credit lines become expensive, is because you keep taking out more than the initial first amount to cover other costs, to cover contracts, cover other payments, and you don't get the expected ROI from it. Or you've had too much inventory in storage and you can't liquidate anything fast enough, or you can't move it fast enough. There's a lot of reasons for different industries. I don't want to get into all of them, but that's a great alternative. The SBA 7A loan, 504 loan, I do a lot of those as well. I'm not going to get into the specific details of that. Those are different. The SBA Bolt loan, there's different community advantage program, especially for veteran-owned businesses. Those of you who are veterans, that's a great one to get into, the community advantage. Not everybody just gets accepted. You have to have a good reason for everything as well. But there are many other programs. You have property, commercial real estate, or investment real estate that you own. We can do a cash out refinance for an equity injection, but it has to make sense with the current market conditions, interest, etc. You have to make the right calculated decision. If you have multiple properties, that's where it works in your best interest. Excuse me, getting text. I have my watch. I always want to call it iWatch. Any of you want to do the same? Instead of Apple Watch, I say iWatch. Only because of iPod, iPad, and it's easier to say iWatch than Apple Watch. It's a little bit more. Right? But that's the thing. And just understanding there's different services for credit, cash flow. If you have revenue your business is generating, you want to cover the cost of certain expenses that your idols are already covering, or for covering the majority of it, and you can focus your idle uses for other things. There's that too. You can use your revenue from month to month. There's cash advances, merchant cash advances, hybrid cash advances, term loans. You have bank term loans, online bank term loans, SBA loans, equipment loans, real estate investing. If you're a real estate investor, I do a lot of that stuff too, with fix and flips, to hold, to stabilize for rental properties, long-term, stable, 30-year, 5, 10, 15 plus years, lower than that, 1 to 2 years in this market. A lot of the times we'll still square footage, commercial property, conventional, non-conventional. The list goes on. And I've built this reputation, again, because of who I am. It's not what I do or how I do it. That I can deliver on. I know that. And I'm always in the market, so I know what the best lenders are looking for. I have an underwriting mindset. I could have just been an underwriter. That's how my personality fits and my thinking. But for the opportunity cost of being on this side and leveraging and freedom and doing other things, that's why I'm also on this side for other reasons as well. But yeah, I can help you in many more ways. The questionnaire form, let me show you how that looks really quickly. I know we're way over time, but let me... This is what it will look like. And it says, get the funding your business needs fast with the help from a real expert, ... It might look like this still over time, more or less. You can learn more about some of the companies we funded that I help fund here, that I've done. Just some of them. There's many more. Just put a handful there, how it works in 3 fast, simple steps. The services, there are many more. And as I stated there, just put a handful of them there. You see grants, small business loans, cash advances, financial consulting, real estate financing, equipment financing, healthcare, telecom, PPP loans, which is not there, but there's that. SBA loans, and there's many more. With debt financing, if you have merchant cash advances, you want to consolidate, find debt relief, debt restructuring. There are many ways, and I can communicate to you based on your situation which one is best. Usually debt restructuring right now in the market is, and if we go over here to Viral Funding Solutions, let me show you on screen this part first so you have recognition in case you haven't seen it. There is my site. I might change the look of this over time too, so just so you know, it's all there. What is Viral Funding Solutions? You can learn more about that, as I went into it a little bit somewhat earlier. Personalized and customized solutions for you. Why work with Viral Funding Solutions and myself? So you see here very quickly, there are some reasons: experience, versatility, integrity, loyalty, which loyalty to me, guys, is everything. You are at the front and center, and I mean it. Like, I truly do care about you as a person. Like, it's hard for me to open up, believe it or not, as an introvert, but just take it at face value that even when I don't communicate how much I care, just know that I do. I'm a very cerebral person, in my head a lot. It takes people to get me out of my head. And even when we're out on an event, like, I'm in the moment, but I'm still kind of like in my head a lot. But you are the front and center. I'm going to do whatever I can to help you. And that means from a health and a relationship perspective first, and then wealth as a person. And then that wealth can conjunct with your business, your health, your wealth, your relationships in your business as well. But you are at the front and center of what we do. And you're getting someone who will stand by your side in even the toughest of times and help you achieve your long-term outcome without question and without feeling pressure to worry someone else is going to, quote unquote, I don't even like this word, but I had to put it here because usually you guys are common to hear this, is sell. I absolutely despise, and I don't know what it is about that. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not. like I said, I have an educational background. I've been in different fields. I come from a consulting type of mindset, marketing better, I guess you could say, because I have a digital marketing agency as a digital strategist, but I do things very ethically. And being proficient in the funding world, like having done this for many years, like I know my stuff. I'm in it. After this, I'm going to go do a few more reviews. I did my reviewing earlier in the day. Bank statements, I did quite a bit of that. I did about two today, actually, credit reports. And there's still more that I'm going to save for tomorrow. And then I only do a handful. I used to do a lot of credit reports. If I just spent 100% of my time on that, I'd probably do like 10 to 20 a day. Kid you not. And I'm proficient at that. I'm proficient at analyzing and evaluating. And that's my love. I love when I put my head down in front of a computer. I can review bank statements, tax returns. I do all my stuff, my numbers, converse with the lenders, the team, boom, on the back end. All this is being reviewed from the back end. If I'm not collecting it if I'm not collecting it directly, it'll be collected indirectly because of a lot of disclosure laws now, and you'll be notified and how I can collect that, and the team can collect that, etc. But I review quite a bit of that, and that's where I find a lot of fulfillment is the financial information. I wouldn't be really in this if I couldn't review documentation as a broker. If I was just sending, and I couldn't see anything, like communication part on the front end is cool and all, but data, making sure I understand what's being sent, cash flow analysis, bank statements, starting and ending bank balances, average daily bank balances. These numbers, the way the money's being sent here doesn't make sense. You deposited 25,000, but you just we withdrew 30,000 in the next 2 days, and here's what you withdrew. And I'm asking myself, why did you withdraw that? Who is it being withdrawn to? And what can we do to change that if we had to? Or why did it have to happen that way? Deposits versus revenue. There's a lot of differences. So I'm going to go back into this for the next couple minutes. I know we're 51 minutes in. I tried to get done with this video earlier, but if you've seen my content in the past, sometimes when we do lives, most of the time actually, I try to give you guys as much impact and value in one. But sell is like, okay, we'll use that word here, and there's nothing wrong with it, even if it's used in the right context. It's just not a word I like to use. Sell, like you, and sell you hard, yuck. And I know you absolutely hate that. I hated that. People who are very transactional, I very, very much despise that. You guys, I hate it 110%. A lot of you maybe don't realize what you're doing to yourself, but by going to a lot of these companies, they're just communicating you what and how they do. Oh, I got 30,000 reviews. Just funded a company of 2.5 million. Yeah, we have a background on this. And oh, cool. Yeah, that's important. How do you go about it? Oh, well, this is how we do it. We have a system like this, and we have a team of, okay. Why do you do it? Or why the business? And then, but tell me first, why do you do it? Well, I've done it because of this. And then also, but why you? Like, if I had to come to you, if I thought about this that you presented me, and I were to come back to you, why should I? As opposed to anybody. I don't always tell somebody that. Sometimes they'll just tell me if they're that entrepreneur spirited thinker. If they're not, it's okay. I'll just put it very nicely and subtle. And I do a lot of hear and read between the lines rather than always saying it directly. I'll say some things directly, but I want you to understand the gravity of it. And like I've spoken with bankers before in the past, I kid you not, and I'll tell them, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and why you're in this? Oh, and then they kind of struggle with it because they've never been asked that, or they don't want to share that information. They feel like, oh, I don't know you. Well, how do you get to know somebody if you can't at least open up a sentence about that? See how that doesn't make sense? And so there's always this miscorrelation with the whole 9-to-5 traditional way of doing things and understanding a person's beliefs, values, vision, and mission. I want to know what drives you. I want to know why you wake up every day. You don't have to explain to me that you have all of these problems in your personal life. That's not what I'm expecting. It's okay if you do. I'm open. I'm here with my arms over your shoulders. I kid you not. I've had people that I've given over an hour's time on a call that I told them they don't have to pay me. They wanted to, but I said no. And I rarely do that unless it absolutely made sense to, and it was what it was needed, as well as it was later in the time. I've had people cry on phone calls with me because it was either a high level or it was other information that I shared with them that they wouldn't have been able to receive elsewhere. So many people right now cry because other people expect this from them and they don't give them much. They don't deliver much, or they do, but it shouldn't be done that way. There's other ways about it where I'm not making it transactional. And a lot of these companies who hire 30, 40, 50 plus people. Guess what? A lot of the times they're transactional. If I have a team, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to prepare them to explain why them. I need them to share with you why them. And even if I didn't, like, why? I hate when people are very transactional. And there's still some family members out there that I'm well with, and it doesn't sit with me. Whenever you ask somebody, like you say, hi, how are you? How have you been? It's like they ignore the question and answer altogether. And sometimes it's understandable. Other times it's like, okay, but when they bring up a topic about taxes or they bring up a topic about how you're generating money, like you have to all make it about you. Somehow you always make it about you. I get that. I get when it's important to do that. But when somebody's asking you about you and your well-being and then you ignore the question and answer that way, or you listen to, but you didn't answer it, I despise people like that. That's a characteristic flaw. And you call yourself an entrepreneur, you call yourself a business owner. Like business owners, like not every business owner is an entrepreneur, not every entrepreneur is a business owner. But every person I believe should fix and work if they need to fix or continue to progress in their personal development. And that's what I worked for such a hard time and long time doing. That up here, I'm mentally strong. Here, I'm even stronger. And that's who I was, never genetically gifted, but I played at a high level of a sport. I've done sports. Academically, I pushed myself hard. I wasn't the best. And in third grade, I got held back. That tells you anything. After that, set in stone. Let's go. I really got into mathematics even deeper, started doing a lot of stuff because I didn't want to be that person that I was back then. Not bad kid, just couldn't progress in that grade just for other outlining circumstances. And so after that, I pushed myself every single day. I literally did. I kid you not. I would stay after school, communicate with the teachers. I wasn't a teacher's pet by any means, but I was there. I wanted to better myself. And then after a lot of that and many years working 9 to 5, doing things that you would slave for and every day wake up for and feel dreaded just to go through the motions of, you knew you hated the process or the processes were there, but you know you couldn't do a damn thing to change it. Or you could put your input, but would it be changed? And I'll have to go up through management. Oh, then I'm going to have to go through the owner. And then, yeah, but you saw something. Did it ever get into effect? If it did, was it to a large amount? Okay, it was. But is that what you're going to live for? So you got to ask yourself that question. Am I really living or am I just living? That's it. I don't have to say just living to get by. Am I living or am I just living? Am I living my true self or am I living myself through someone else and what they want? Appreciate you. Thank you. You are welcome. So all information. Oh, I didn't even show you guys the questionnaire form. So let me finish up with that. Sorry. Down here, I put a quick video just so you know, hey, 4 reasons why viral funding solutions, more or less what I've already explained. And there's more about my story, not just with viral funding solutions and what I created, but actually me as a person. And I'll leave more information in that down below too. You can also learn more about me up here, different information, services. But if we go back here to this page, you see more here about how it works. Services, there's many more. Click here to see our services on one page. And let me show you how that looks. So right here, discover our products. There are many more. Obviously, I can't put all of them on one. But to know more too, you can email me here at the email that I gave you guys earlier, michael@viralfundingsolutions.com. You can start right here, view your options, grant opportunities, debt restructuring, credit repair, business credit lines, building business credit. So I always recommend age trade accounts, like primary trade lines are on your personal credit, getting age trade accounts for your business, and whether you're buying them or not. I always recommend having a combination depending on where you're at. You don't always have to buy them. You can just start off and build like 10 to 20 plus accounts. That would be best. And making the right amount of payments, because that will show as well as on your business report or reports. And monitoring your credit is huge. So not just building your business credit to then get access to more, getting vehicles under your business's name, getting a lot of rental cars, depending on the business you're in. Maybe you're in Turo. And there's a lot of other ones. So there's quite a bit of stuff here. You can go through business term loans, equipment financing, business credit lines, reverse debt consolidation. if recommended, but debt restructuring is what I recommend right now in the market. Refundable tax credit, payment processing, healthcare, employee pay advance. If you have employees too, you want to offer a safe and secure way of financial flexibility. There's that too. With a card, you can offer your employees benefits. A lot of good stuff here. It's not limited to merchant processing. If you have credit cards, receive credit cards, debit cards, and you're trying to process those through a processor, getting cash discounting, do quite a bit of that as well. But I think that's where I'm gonna. Oh, no, that's not where I'm gonna leave. Let's go back to this every single second. Sorry. So here you can select from one of these two options as we were there. I'm going to click on non-startup as I am one. But if I was going to do a startup business, I would go through the other one. And here, get the funding your business needs fast. Complete the questionnaire form below to get a personalized and customized email response for your best funding option and options from a real. And I put it in underline and bolded this and caps lock part of it. So you make sure that I'm not messing around, as so you shouldn't, with my energy and time as well as yours. Real business loan broker and funding expert, as well as pre-underwriter / underwriter, more so pre-underwriter is what I do the majority of. Please be serious and responsive. Please do not be that person wasting my energy and time, being hard to get a response / feedback from. I spent a good amount of my energy and time on this. Plus, get a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist. I might update this too here with the grant list too, but that should come with it. If I change things, it'll be different and put somewhere else perhaps. But this literally can get done in less than a minute. You see it there, how it works again. Quick video there. But yeah, you can give me rough estimates, but just try to be as accurate as possible. Sorry, I'm almost planning to sneeze here. But just give me something that is as accurate. I'm not a creditor, so whenever I ask for your credit, think of this again. I'm pre-underwriting. This is not an application. I'm not a creditor. I'm pre-underwriting files a lot. And again, I can be a full-time if I wanted to. I'd probably explore just being a full-time underwriter, but because of the opportunity cost of being on this side and what I'm doing a lot of, it makes sense for me to do this. And so here you see that, and it's for me to understand. So I know exactly what lenders are looking for. So based off of your answers, and I do a little bit more of an in-depth analysis, and especially when the documents are then sent in, it's pretty much done from there. And I'll know what to do. And then ownership percentage, lowest monthly revenue. Do you have any collateral? What type of collateral? How much? If you indicate you have a business loan and it's idle, you don't have to state the exact amount. But if you have a loan or an advance, sorry, cat walking across the backyard, then please state the amount of principal, interest, what's the remaining balance, but what is the original amount, the rate, the term, who you got it from. That's very helpful. A lot of you do that already, and I'm so appreciative of. It's like, dang, some of you are so organized. Others just don't even put it, but then had a loan out or an advance out, and that would have been helpful because it makes a big difference on how much you can get an approval of. Collateral, credit, cash flow, other things we'll look at if there's a combination of things we can do. But then you should be able to start from the thank you page when you get that submitted. If I still have it the same way, maybe I'll change it in time, but I've designed all of this. The processes, guys, you got to understand systems. Processes is one thing, because processes as a business owner, here's a quick thing. If you just have rigid, or is the word rigid processes, and everything is so disciplined and by the book, where you expect your employees to follow every little thing without giving them any creative spirit or juice, that means you just don't rely. You just don't trust. You don't think they are best suited for what they need to do. You're not hiring the right people. You might be yourself doing a lot of things in multiple hats, which I still do for multiple things. It's okay. And sometimes you just want to have it that way for the time being. But if you're restricting somebody on your team or somebody you're going to bring in, and you're giving them a document that they have to absolutely go by it, here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3, how we go about that process. And you're eliminating any kind of creative activity that they can create, especially if they're going and creating their own content for you, or if they're marketing and they're figuring it out, like they have their own system and it's worked. That's what you want to hire on. You want to hire on the system for the change of the culture and the ecosystem. The skill set you can always try to bring up, or if they bring a different level of skill set that you haven't trained or you haven't had yourself, that's different. But you got to understand what culture and what ecosystem you're bringing them into. And what's the common denominator of all of this? Helping them grow. And if you're not doing that and you're limiting their capacity, you're having too much processes set in place where you can't 100% or any percentage depend on that person. You can't leave them alone without checking in. You can't go to a party without calling in to see how your systems or how's this going? What's going on with this contract? Did you do this right on my behalf? Like, if you can't go on with that, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be reevaluated and sat down. So systems govern everything. Systems in place, making sure you understand that person A goes to person B, or person A goes through this system or this vault of change. Well, then they come out with this outcome. What's going to happen when they go through this extra process? What's going to happen there? What's the system for that process, and vice versa? There's a lot of stuff I don't want to get into right now, but systems for change really help you and eliminate the need for always having to be the front man, always having to be there for every call or every email or every text. You got to understand those at some point. And really make sure that you're using the best energy and time you can, not only in business, but in your life. You got to leave home. I mean, you got to go. If you're already home, you're home. But if you got to leave your business where your business is, at your desk or wherever it is at work, in the field, and you come home, like, you don't want to be bringing that into the home. I always have that where once I step in, I'm already here. But once I step in or I go out somewhere else and I do something else, my personal life, that's it. Take care of my personal life. Always make it the best that it can be. Put more to it. Put more fuel to it than where it already is. And making sure that I'm ascending people. I'm not only ascending me, but I'm ascending others. And people see the true value and worth in that. Okay, everybody. That will be everything. Go ahead and get started with the free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist, along with the grant list, the large grant list that you can get that's rotating, by filling out the questionnaire form down below. And if any of you have any questions and want to get connected with me, again, if you haven't filled out the questionnaire form, please fill that out. I have, again, systems for a lot of this. And believe me, I'm very efficient. I've broken this down to a science. I'm a science guy. I've broken this down to a science. And it's very ethically done. Very well use of my energy and time. A lot of you get access to me in ways that you wouldn't have been able to think of. You always think it's just a call. It's not always a call. I've helped out a lot of clients who I have great personal and business connections with. Literally, I kid you not when I say this, who do like millions a month. I kid you not. And they would have preferred it email-wise, or they were okay with it. Oh, yeah, Michael, I trust you. I've seen your content. How can we do this efficiently? I'm busy. Boom, boom, boom. I'll take care of you. Don't worry about that. Let me worry about that stuff. You can just sit back. Even if you're on vacation, you're like, this Michael guy's taking care of me now. Okay, good. Well, not this Michael guy, but you understand, especially if you've seen me or heard from me, been around me, you'll know that I'm not just a guy helping people get funding. I'm way more than that. So that is everything from me. Appreciate you all for tuning in. We are way over time. We went over the SBA EIDL, what's been going on there. Anything that gets updated over time, I will keep you guys up to date. Sometimes I can't get to you these videos as quickly as I can about, because I'm so busy with other things. And anything else, credit, cash flow, collateral, 0% interest, business credit cards, fixing your credit though at the foundation, having your business foundation put together. But more than those foundations, it's you as a person. It doesn't all start with personal credit and the business formation. It starts with you. That's the foundation. That's the personal side, is you, your characteristic traits, making sure you have your core values, integrity, loyalty, you're humble, you're honest, you go about it this way. This is what you govern your work and in your life, and not being all arrogant, stubborn, ignorant, cocky, ego driven. If you have those, we leave those out the door. If you're willing to change that, that's one thing, but we leave that out the door too. So if I'm going to help you, that's also something you have to look at. If I'm going to help you with that, I'm not going to shut down everybody, but I'm going to shut down people who continue to cause those problems and those characteristic problems. And I'm like, I don't want to align with that. And that's okay. I can't be for everybody. I help out many, but those who get it will get it. And so this way we don't cause friction also and resistance when we go through our system and our processes, going through the application stages. You're responsive. And that's a characteristic trait I see from people, even just not responding. I have people who leave me on scene. Sometimes I have to do that to some people because I got to get back to things. Like I had to view a comment. Oh, but I couldn't respond. I'll get back to them soon. And I don't want them seeing that and thinking that, because I'm not like that, but I have things to do. And so it happens sometimes, but when you don't get back to somebody, especially when you should know you will, especially when you think or you say it out loud that you will, you put a time, implicit differentiation, you put something of an implicit habit into it. You put a time and a place, you put the habit after this habit, I'm going to do the new habit, but you don't do it at all. That shows to me you lack character. That shows me you lack a characteristic trait, just something as simple as saying, no, thank you, Michael. I've seen this and I appreciate your response. Or even just something so little is very helpful. And it shows me a lot about you as a person. That is everything from me. Appreciate you. All information down below in the description. And I will talk to you. Let me 1 second. I'm looking through my tabs up here to make sure I covered. Yes, I did. I'm like doing this, like tabs are going to move. But yes, I covered everything that I needed to. That is everything for now. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Click that bell notification icon so you do not miss any future content I'll be coming out with. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up. Share with others who you feel will find value from it. It can be a complete stranger. Maybe you have a friend. You don't qualify now, but you have a friend. Or you do, and you'd like to share this with somebody else. I'm willing to help you, compensate you. If that's how you want to work through it, I'm more than happy to. I'm very reasonable with people. I don't cut corners. I don't do things unethically. It's a hard market. It's cutthroat. There's a lot of people out there very transactional. Remember that. And they're just looking at it as in this, what they can put on their table at all costs a lot of the time. Sometimes they'll do what's in your best interest, but they're just communicating to you the what, the how all this goes. But do you really know who they are, why them, what makes them different? Got to question that, because a lot of times you see a lot of transactional types of situations. That's everything for now. Appreciate you, and I will talk to you on the next one. Take care.